Once again, we are back Monday, post-Super Bowl Monday.
Yes, sir.
That means it's February 8th, another installment of Southern Nevada Sports News on VegasAllNetRadio.com. My name is Bill Miller. I am co-host along with
Jeff Belknap.
And again, it is post-Super Bowl Monday, February 8th. Call-in line 702-483-4444. If you'd like to call and vent, give us your any tirades, any pro offense, against defense, whatever it is. Or you'd like to talk about Southern Nevada sports in general, give us a call. Jeff, how are you?
Good, man.
All right. Yeah, we are, again, it's after the Super Bowl, so we've had about 20 hours to sort of digest what took place yesterday.
Yep.
Well, let's start with first things first. I did say that Carolina was going to win.
Yes.
Obviously, they didn't. Excellent. And you called that Denver would win.
No, I didn't say Denver would win. I said that they would cover.
They would cover.
Spread, yeah.
And clearly they did.
They did,
and
yep.
then some. I did say that it would be the under.
Yep.
And it certainly was that obvious defensive struggle for both teams. They really muted each other's offense.
Yes.
By the end of the day. I mean, the score is a little bit deceiving when you see 24-10. Then you start to add up, well, how did they come across those points? It all makes sense.
Yeah.
It all makes perfectly good sense. I said it would be the over on the sacks.
Yep, which you got.
Which
I bet.
Yeah.
And
of course,
your
folks, I said a
recommendation,
lot
of
of things, but ultimately I failed to pull the trigger. Which is the story of my life when it comes to me betting on things, which is probably a good thing if you live in Las Vegas. So let's always bear that in mind. But coming away from the game, what did you take?
Well, I'm not like 100% on the Cam Newton, post press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that he should have handled that a little more professionally. And I understand the whole, being dejected, being upset, being all that.
Right.
I just think that, as you progress as an athlete, that you have to kind of control yourself and, just go there and give the press, quote unquote, like what they want.
Absolutely.
Which is basically, hey, they beat us. I mean, which he did say. I mean, they beat us and they were better and everything. It's just the way he did it, just.
He did say it. He probably said total 50 words, and that was part of the of what he did say.
Yeah, so I was a little bit disappointed because I'm a Cam Newton fan.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him back in Auburn and coming to Carolina, I've always kind of rooted him. He's my fantasy quarterback this year.
Right.
I
so you were living large.
I did very well.
Yeah.
It took me all the way to a championship. But, just when you see that kind of stuff, it's, it's stuff that, coaches should teach players, that, in the event that something happens like this, that, you just have to kind of swallow your pride and, just kind of, be the bigger guy in a sense. So,
yeah. Well, and my feeling toward him as a quarterback, an elite quarterback in the NFL, hasn't changed.
Right.
He is still an elite quarterback. I think that if you were to ask him today, he would have an entirely different take and an entirely different interview as opposed to yesterday. Now, I understand that what the NFL does do is they sort of give a cooling down process in terms of time from the time the game ends to when they actually start the interview process. All of the coaches that they talked to today, last night, today, and will continue to talk about, said the same thing, that typically this is when a head coach will pull you aside and say, okay, this is obviously a difficult situation. This is what I'm going to say. You need to say what's in your heart and what you feel, but, understand what you're going into. There's going to be difficult questions.
Right.
This is a young man who has thrived on the spotlight.
Yeah.
You have the dab. Is it called dab?
Yeah, it's the dab.
Yeah, the dab. Which, I'm not sure how many of you are soccer fans, but I'm a soccer fan. The dab is in England. The dab is in Spain. The dab is in Italy. The dab is in France. The dab is in Germany. Guys are scoring goals and they're dabbing.
Right.
This has gone global. But this is, a young man coming off a 17-2 final season. But at the end of the day, it was all for naught. But this is obviously the biggest game that he will ever lose on the biggest stage. This is the Super Bowl. He's used to winning on the big stage. But I think that for somebody who has, and again, have you seen the interviews with his father
I have not.
that he was like conducting during the week leading up to it?
Oh, yeah, going into the week, I did
Yeah.
see a couple of those.
Yeah, so he's kind of, he's out there like him in terms of,
Right.
we're going to do this and this and this. And of course, nobody's to be found, immediately after the game. In his position, the way kids look up to him, you have to do a better job, young man. I hope this is a learning, event for him. And so that going forward, he knows that, it wasn't my finest moment. It wasn't my best game, but it wasn't my finest moment in terms of interview. There's going to be a lot of interviews for this young man in the future. I'm not sure how many more Super Bowls I believe he'll actually be in the Super Bowl again.
Absolutely.
But I also know that there were some quarterbacks who early on in their careers made it to the Super Bowl and never made it again. First one that comes to mind is Dan Marino.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he has that kind of team around him. But what Denver did do is expose and set out a blueprint, which Seattle did in the second half of their game.
Right.
They kind of put a template together that said, this is how you can beat this team.
Right. Well, if you are a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not saying there should be a conspiracy, but the NFL has a way of like helping guys out of the game with John Elway, and do we need to go down the line like Ray Lewis? So
in other words, let's listen to you guys retired.
Yeah, and what I did notice about Cam is like I've watched him all year. I had the NFL package, and Carolina Lions, of course, are my first team, but Carolina has always been my second team. Watched him, the way he prepared for the game,
right.
the way he was at halftime, the way he was on the sideline.
Right.
I saw none of that yesterday, which was kind of, I'm just kind of thinking like, when is this going to come out? And it was just kind of like somebody like stole his ball type of deal,
Or his mojo.
Yeah. So it kind of felt like that maybe, I don't know, Vito called him before the game and said, hey, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if this was a conspiracy. But,
Okay.
But, the NFL is drama.
John Roger.
Right, exactly. The NFL is drama for men, so it's kind of like it's like the soap opera for men. And I'm not saying that people know what's going to happen before the game, but early on in the game when they called that pass incomplete on the challenge,
Which to me was a catch.
who even Denver fans probably would have thought that was a catch, but hey,
That was it. The fix is in.
Actually, I tweeted that. Actually, I said, just crown him now. Just go ahead and crown Peyton now. But, I'm not saying that was the case, but it just, when you see stuff like that, it gets a little fishy. The officiating this season was probably the worst that I've actually seen it.
Well, the
my
problem with
watching.
the officiating is that it's a topic that we're having, this discussion.
Right.
Overall, it was a bad year for NFL officiating.
Right.
It wasn't a great year for collegiate officiating, for that matter.
That's true.
So officiating as a whole in football left little be desired for, and we were eyewitnesses to some of the officiating at the arena level.
Right.
Sort of like the
Very
guy
shady.
watching the screen that
was blank.
That was blank. It's like he was concentrating on what was in front of him.
So let's just speak on that for like 2 seconds. So Bill and I were actually on the sideline of in the background on the sideline of an arena football game this year, and the referee was actually talking into the mic saying, "Yeah, can you rewind that a little bit? Oh, can you give me camera 2?" And Bill and I were sitting there watching a blank screen because there actually literally was not even a screen, but he was literally going through the motions of that, which you and I both saw the replay on that. It was clearly a catch in that particular case.
Yeah.
And they did not give him the catch.
Nope.
But it wasn't because the ref didn't see that. Is the TV literally was not working. I mean, it was like inoperable.
They had lost the feed on it.
Right.
Yeah, and the camera angle only showed the official with the headset.
Right.
and not this, in the
Which
back
you
of
and
the
I were in.
TV.
I think we got some TV.
Yeah,
time
so we
on
were
that.
kind of looking at this, and you want to say like, "There's nothing on the screen,"
Right.
But it's like, all right, let's be cool about this.
Yeah.
And
So
see where this is going.
I'm not saying that happens even at the NFL level, but when you see a play like yesterday, I mean, it was obviously a questionable call. I guess the best way to put it.
Questionable, and I will say this: I've never seen him Cam. When speaking about Cam, didn't look that fatigued.
Right.
By the second quarter, he looked exhausted. Now, granted, he had been running for his life.
Right.
He may have seen a lot of film on this defense. He may have seen how fast they are on film, but you just ask the Steelers and a lot of guys teams that have had to play Denver this year, and they tell you that in real life it's something else. These guys are coming out like Mach 1.
Yep.
But I kept thinking, okay, he looks tired. Second quarter, it's a long halftime for the Super Bowl. It's 30 minutes. Get in the locker room, get him on an IV, get some fluids into his system, get him to relax.
Which he did not take.
Yeah, and then come out. You've got the ball the third quarter, and do your thing.
He actually came right down the field in the third quarter, and then they missed a field goal.
Yeah, and you kind of think since again that this thing is just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Then there were just some things, again, obviously he looked fatigued. This was not what he's used to, especially in a season where you go 15-1 in the regular season. You're not used to a lot of moments like this, being behind and playing from behind. But there was that one almost defining moment, kind of summed up the game, and it was the last drive. Once again, his arm is knocked down by Miller. Cousin Vaughn, and
who had a beastly game, by the way. Don't want to take anything away from him.
Absolutely deserved it. Absolutely deserved the MVP.
Yep.
And the ball's laying down there before him, and Cam kind of steps and then hesitates, and it was so visible. It was like, I'm not going to get down in there in that. And then you had people saying, well, I think he kind of lost track because you're looking downfield, and when you look down, ball was laying right there in front of him.
No.
Granted, there were some large human beings going for it, and apparently even a couple of the Broncos said if he had dove down in that pile, they were going to drill him.
Yeah.
Because it's all on at that point. But it was so visible, his hesitation, and then it kind of went past him. And honestly, who turned out to be one of the fastest individuals during that game? The head official who, when they were coming his way at the end zone, did you see how fast he scrambled out of the way?
I did see that.
Yeah, if you have a chance, take a look at it. I mean, this guy, you may want to suit him up because I think he saw who was coming and he figured, they don't pay me enough to officiate this game to get into this mix because it was going to get very violent.
Yeah.
Very quick. But I think, again, there was that hesitation because if they punt the ball, the way their defense is playing and the way Denver's offense is playing, they'll get the ball back. And instead, it's a turnover, and and again, there it is.
Well, how many Super Bowls have you seen where the team that sets a record for the most 3-and-outs and the most lack of third down conversions actually wins the game?
Win a game?
I mean, I haven't checked that before the show, but I think that's very reasonable to see. When's the last time that's happened? I guarantee that's probably never happened.
I think, it hasn't, not that I know of. And again, the comparisons were going back to, the San Diego Chargers against the 49ers. I forgot the quarterback's name for San Diego. And it was all of the quarterbacks that you saw in games that were either lopsided wins.
Is that Bobby Aber?
No, I'm afraid not. Stan Humphries, yeah.
Well.
And
are you a San Diego fan? Is that where you came from now? Okay.
Thank you.
I remember that Stan Humphries 49er game though.
Well, it was like the second play of the game.
Steve Young.
Steve Young to
went
Jerry
off
Rice,
yep.
And I was at a big Super Bowl party that was at the casino at the old Hollywood Park. There was actually a casino there.
Right.
And, we kind of looked at each other because the line came out as almost like 18 points, 19 points. San Diego fans were incensed. Oh, this is an insult. And then within a couple of plays, it's 7-0, and everybody kind of looked at each other and said, "I think they may get this one right."
Right.
And it was downhill from there on in as far as San Diego.
I actually had over 49 as the longest play of that game. And that play actually won me my bet, yeah.
All right, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're actually going to be joined by calling guest Jay Staggs, friend of the Vegas Kings football team.
Yes, sir.
Jeff and I in Vegas Lions. So stay tuned. We're going to be heading into round two. In the meantime, you're listening to Southern Nevada Sports News on Vegas on netradio.com. Welcome to the Pride. We are back for round two of the Southern Nevada Sports News on Vegas on netradio.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host along with
Jeff Belknap.
And we have a call-in guest, none other than a longtime friend of Jeff and I, going back to the Vegas Kings days, Jay Staggs. Jay, how you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
I'm doing very good, man. Thank you so much for calling in, and congratulations on, is it Adams State University?
Yes, sir. Adams State University in Southern Colorado.
Southern Colorado. Now, Southern Colorado can be pretty, that's kind of vague, Jay. What city is this school in?
We are literally 32 miles north of the New Mexico border, right in the center of the state. We're on the eastern slope of the Rockies. Essentially, we're a mountain pass away from Colorado Springs and about 3 hours from Denver.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Well, listen, man, congratulations, by the way.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and we're really excited about Southern Nevada and Las Vegas in general, and just being a guy that I consider that my home for the last 13 years before leaving UNLV as a assistant coach there and getting this opportunity at Adams State. Real excited to get back out there and recruit the Las Vegas kids.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We had one of your recruits on our show just a couple weeks ago. So when I saw that you actually drafted him or recruited him, then I was like, hey man, is that Jay Staggs? Wait, is that the same guy? That was like catching passes, like what led the team in receiving, right? The last year that we had the Vegas Kings, and that was kind of exciting to see, and the development, from you as a player at UNLV to a coach at UNLV to your coaching position now.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a ride. Something that we just kind of always focus on here and everywhere that I've been as a coach and as a player is kind of do what you love. And if you don't love what you're doing, then get out of it and go find something else to do. Because really, just at the end of the day, you end up wasting time and you kind of put yourself in a position to always be upset with things. So, I spent my time as a professional athlete, and I got cut more times than I care to talk about. But I was out there and I was doing it because I loved it. It was never about the paycheck. It's great to get paid for something you love to do. And when I stepped away and was in Las Vegas, I worked at a couple different resorts there. Wynn and Encore and Hard Rock, and got into the corporate life. And I just realized I didn't love it. And me and my wife were raising our family out there in Vegas. Absolutely love Las Vegas. And I couldn't look at my daughters and think about doing something I didn't love just to collect a paycheck. So I got back into coaching and was able to get on with Coach Bobby Houck at UNLV, and he gave me my first opportunity there as a grad assistant, and then moved on into helping and assisting in the secondary under Tim Houck, his brother. And, Coach Rosenball was the OC at UNLV for 2 years, and when the end of the year was coming to a close last year, he had been offered the job at Adams State, and he told me, if I get this job, you're going to be my D coordinator. And I was fired up at the opportunity to be a young coordinator and get a chance to, run my system based off of the things I learned from my playing and coaching experience.
Nice. So do you reach back to any of the other D coaches that you've had before, Terry Tarver and any of the other guys, or are you just sticking with the UNLV guys?
Oh, I keep in touch with a lot of guys. Tim Houck kind of being my mentor, and he's now with the Philadelphia Eagles as a secondary coach. I stay in touch with him. I stay in touch with Coach Bobby Houck, and he's at San Diego State, and they had a heck of a year. I was fired up that he finally got to win a Mountain West championship. I wish it would have been at UNLV, but, good things for him and his family. And I stay in touch even with Coach Bradison, Mike Bradison, who's up at UNR, and he was my defensive coordinator and my secondary coach for the years that I played at UNLV. And he's been a great source of information and always gives me, insight into stuff that I can always be getting better and doing things. But as far as the playing for the Kings and the relationships I met there, actually I brought on Gary and Johnson, who played wide receiver and quarterback for the Kings in that last year that I was there. He's coaching the D line and he's been a grad assistant for me here. And we just trying to find a way to make our team better and persevere through some of the stuff that we've been dealing with.
So what is the level that you guys are at? I mean, is that considered D2 at Adams State?
Yes, we are NCAA Division II. We compete in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, or the RMAC. It's most probably notable team out of our conference in the last couple of years has been Pueblo. Colorado State Pueblo, which won the national title 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've done a nice job, and they've shown that you can recruit all over the country at these Division II schools and get the right guys in here and do it the right way, and you can be successful. And that's what Coach Rosenbaugh and our staff is we're attempting to do. It's why we reach back out and go into the 702 and go after a bunch of great young men that otherwise may not get the opportunity to play college ball or are forced to go to Arizona or California JC, and becomes moving rather than finding a home and developing and becoming a complete student athlete, both in the classroom and on the football field, and go through the same things you go through the Division I level, just on a little bit smaller scale and smaller campus sizes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, well, we were, as Jeff mentioned, we were fortunate to have Vasa Hansel as a guest in the studio a couple of weeks ago. Fine young man, and I'm really happy that he has settled on Adams State, and I'm glad that I think you got a really good pick in this young man. He's very intelligent.
Absolutely.
He seems very well grounded. I mean, but when you get a chance to meet his family, why he is as good a young man as he is.
Yeah, he's not only a phenomenal football player, he is an absolute stud in the classroom, and that's something that we jumped on right away. I have a very good relationship with Coach Tico Rodriguez over there at Desert Pines.
Yeah.
I was recruiting a handful of guys out there and had a couple guys actually take the visit out here to Alamosa, Colorado, and do an official visit with us. Vasa, we did sign him on National Signing Day. He is a big-time linebacker for us. Like you said, great young man. We think the world of him, and we're very excited. He's one of actually 5 guys that call Las Vegas home. Or have called Las Vegas home that we signed this year. Is it okay if I go ahead and give you those guys' names?
No, go ahead.
No, by all means.
So we signed Ashton Lawson out of Cheyenne High School. Coach Cochran's been great. He's been phenomenal and just being on top of everything and helping us in the recruitment process with Ashton. He plays cornerback. He's a very physical young man that I think if he's anywhere else, if he's out of the Los Angeles area, if he's at just in a different spot where there's more schools to look at him,
right.
he's probably all these guys they're all pretty much Division I guys. They have the size and the ability, and sometimes it just comes down to a lack of opportunities of teams seeing you.
Right.
So I'm very excited about Ashton. We also got another corner out of Cimarron Memorial, and that's Antoine Rainey. Very long, athletic guy. He played fullback and running back for him. He's also a corner. He had great games against, Gorman and Moapa, and he's just a really feisty competitor. Again, another great kid in the classroom. Vasa, who you guys already talked about, was just another, for us, he's a steal. The kid could probably play anywhere and do a good job. And he's going to come in here and he's going to compete right away. All these kids will. Another one that we feel was very overlooked was Devin Short of Arborview. He's a very tall, extremely athletic offensive lineman at Arborview, and as you know, they run the wing offense and the misdirection stuff. So he's always been a quick guard type guy that was always pulling, and you can just watch him attack guys. We see him as a defensive lineman. We feel that he can play any one of the multiple defensive line positions that we utilize. He's an absolute asset in gaming and stunts, and just he's very long. And also we signed Stetson Stallworth, actually quarterback from Yuma Catholic in Arizona, but Stetson played his first 3 years up at Bishop Gorman as a quarterback.
Nice.
So we were very fired up. We have more kids that I've been in touch with that we haven't signed that are still looking for a home. I can't discuss them because they haven't signed with us. But there's still I've got 3 or 4 guys that have called to tell me that they're going to walk on for us out of the Valley. And then, being in contact with the coaches at Liberty and Silverado and Basic and Palo and Gorman and Foothill. I mean, all these schools coaches have just been absolutely awesome about getting me information and getting me with the right guys. This kid, he's not getting recruited, and we are looking for the right type of guy, both with character and toughness. And when we talk about character and toughness, we kind of talk about the physical, mental, and emotional sides of it, and being a well-rounded young man, because we feel like better young men are going to make better Grizzlies as football players, as student athletes. So
Here.
Vegas is full of them. Like I said, there's 2 Division I schools in the state. Outside of that, that's all you got for college football.
Well, we really appreciate the fact that you're, reaching into the market of the high schools of UNLV. I mean, in Las Vegas. That was one of the reasons why we designed the Lions and the Kings, was because we wanted to give guys opportunity to be able to play, without losing their eligibility. So the fact that you're kind of reaching out to these exact same guys we've been trying to touch, man, is awesome.
Yeah, and you know what, and good for you guys with the Lions. Me getting a chance to actually play for the Kings and be a part of it, and kind of see what else is out there. I mean, people just don't realize how talented, how fast, how explosive athletes are in the Las Vegas area, and it's because there's no junior college for them to get exposure in Nevada.
Right.
There's only 2 Division I schools, which makes for a great rivalry. I love that rivalry. Go Rebs.
Right.
But the biggest thing that I see is kids that have worked their butts off in the classroom in high school, being told that you're not going to get a scholarship, you can't afford to walk on somewhere. Right. If you want to play college football, even though you're a qualifier out of high school at the NCAA, well, you're going to have to go to a junior college and kind of restart life over. It's like going to junior high.
Right.
You leave 6 years of elementary school, go into junior high for a quick 2-year turnaround, and then you get to start all over again in high school. Well, then you do a great job in high school academically. There's nowhere for you to play, so now you got to move out of state, go somewhere else, start over new. Nobody knows you. You don't get the amount of exposure you would as a hometown kid. And then if you're lucky enough to get the exposure and go somewhere, well, then you go and you start over again, but you only got 2 years left to do anything.
Right.
So for me, I want to build a family. I want to build the right, like I said, the right kids, because we want the best of the best when it comes to the young men that are being overlooked in the Valley. We want to give them a place to come, get an education, graduate in 4 years, and be a college football player for 4 years. Not be a college football player for 2 years, not go to a junior college. And I'm not knocking the junior college. What I'm doing is I'm explaining the fact that kids work their butts off in high school to not have to go to a junior college. I want to provide them with an opportunity to where they can go to a school for 4 years.
Well, again, well done, Jay. and I like the approach that you're taking. You're certainly a hometown guy as far as Las Vegas is concerned, and looks like you're able to also recruit some other like-minded individuals, I'd like to say.
Right.
How are you settling in Southern Colorado?
Oh, it's cold, man.
Yeah, I think that's
I moved out here just a little over a year ago with our head coach. Again, that's Tim Rosenbaugh, the former offensive coordinator at UNLV. And we got out here, and it was, we don't have a ton of snow, but any snow is more than you really get in Las Vegas.
That's right.
Now,
That's
I guess
for sure.
You guys have had a little bit, and where I lived, kind of on that southwest side, out there by Durango, the Spanish Trail area. We were a little bit higher up, but we had maybe snow once in the 13 years that I lived there.
Yeah.
But here, I mean, like I said, eastern slope of the Rockies. We are right in the San Luis Valley. It's a great smaller town. It's about 15,000 people. And they love their college sports here.
That's excellent.
I'm obviously sitting in Bronco country, and so I get to deal with that as a SoCal kid, being a Charger fan. So it's been awesome for my 8-year-old going to elementary school every day wearing her Charger stuff, because she's a diehard, loyal Charger and Rebel fan.
Good for her.
She asked me what's going to happen when Adams State plays UNLV. I said, well, we've obviously done a good job because we're now Division I, so that would be
great.
That would be awesome.
Going for us. But we love it. It's a great town. It's very family oriented. I work for a great head coach, and we want to build something special here. And I feel like the talent that's being missed in the Vegas Valley. Trying to find them a home and a nice pipeline to do this for as long as I'm here.
Well, Jay, you are definitely a friend of the show. You can call in anytime.
Absolutely.
You have our
that.
contacts on Twitter. We would love to cover you guys full time, and especially get the exposure for the UNLV guys. We'll be covering you guys as far as like your rise to the top and the championship in Division II. So to call in anytime, and you just know that that Bill and I are here to give you guys as much exposure as possible, especially in the Valley. So utilize us the best way you can.
All right, and I will definitely be calling in, and I do appreciate it. And I think it's great what you guys are doing as well, giving guys an opportunity to continue to play football and not have to burn up any eligibility, as well as in the future giving you guys updates on all these kids from Las Vegas, so that all their fans back home can hear them on the radio and get them on the show as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care now. Folks, been listening to Jay Staggs, the new defensive coordinator for Adams State University out of Alamosa, Colorado. Friend of Jeff and I, going back to the Vegas Kings days. Spent his time at UNLV as an assistant, and now he's going to be a D coordinator. Well done, young man. When we come back, we'll be round 3 of the Vegas. I'm sorry, I was getting ready to say the old Southern Nevada Sports News. We are back for round 3, Southern Nevada Sports News on VegasAllNetRadio.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host, along with
Jeff Belknap.
And if you're just joining us now, you just missed Jay Staggs, the new defensive coordinator for Adams State University. And Alamosa, Colorado. He was here, joined us on as a call-in guest for the second segment. And just to sort of tie things in, about a couple of weeks ago, we had who is now actually signed with Adams State University, local recruit Vasa Hansel
Yep.
of Desert Pines High School. And that was one of the schools that he had mentioned that he was considering. And last Wednesday on signing day, he signed with Adams State. So congratulations, Vasa.
It's huge.
We absolutely want to have you on before you depart for hopefully a warm-up by the time you get out to Colorado.
Yeah, right.
But before you depart, and again, a fine young man. I think he's going to do very well. I think he and Jay both are going to do very well at this school.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, if you recall, I think it was 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago.
3
yep.
weeks ago, we had on the GM of Range 702, and Brian Delashall.
Yep.
It's his last name. And Brian, at that point, I made a challenge to Brian and to Jeff that I let everybody know I had never fired a real weapon before.
Right.
I'd held one or two, thanks to some of my law enforcement buddies. But they never let me, took me someplace to go, do you want to shoot this? We'll let you hold it. But, 58 years old, and I thought that, I would go down there because he certainly extended the invitation.
Yes.
And so I did, and I was joined by Jeff, his sister, and his father.
And then my dad, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. B himself was there. They're all veteran gun aficionados and shooters.
Yep.
And I tell you, this was absolutely, first of all, when you get down there, Range 702 is an awesome facility.
Top notch.
It is not, I don't know what you think in terms of a gun range, what to expect. I had no reference point whatsoever. And when you walk in there, you really feel like you're more in a high-end gym,
Yep.
spa. There's actually a VIP room, which we were ushered into.
Right.
And I believe the young man's name was James, who was the technician assigned to us.
Yep.
And hats off, by the way, to James and the entire Range 702 staff. Extremely courteous. He knew, I made it clear that I was not an experienced marksman of any kind, and that I had never, fired a weapon. And he went step by step as we proceeded. And the good news is that you'll all have an opportunity to see the video. But it was I will say this: we started with, I believe it was a Glock.
Glock.
Okay,
Yep.
was it a 9mm?
Yep. Glock 17.
17. Okay, which moved then to an automatic weapon, which
Yep.
was
fully auto. We went fully auto from there.
fully automatic.
Yep.
There were actually a total of 4 weapons. I stopped at number 3 because the last weapon was actually a belt feed chopper that is about the best thing that I could.
Right. Well,
yeah.
bipod on a bipod. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say this: I have the highest respect for guns.
Right.
And because even though I've never fired one, or I've obviously never owned one, I have the highest respect for them, and I believe in the right to bear arms.
Right.
The first sensation, and because I went first,
Right.
firing the pistol, there is no other sensation that you can point to. I'm sorry. And I stopped and I looked back at you guys and I said, and I set the gun down. I said, that was an amazing. It is. You understand the full capability of the weapon.
Right.
For starters. And then there was I think it was a 10-round clip that he loaded.
Right.
But James again was very, very thorough.
Walking you through it, the whole thing. I mean,
walked
it's
me
perfect.
through the entire thing, how to hold it. Keep your finger off the trigger. Grab it and grab on. But I will say this: I think I did okay.
You did very well.
I mean, I still
Which
have
we
the
have
target.
pictures. We have pictures
Yes.
that show
Yeah.
you did very well.
And and I one thing I did walk away from that is that, and I told James and I told Jeff and his family that I want to go through a gun safety course.
Right.
I want to again, work with them in terms of safety, loading, unloading, care of a weapon, and then actually I would like to purchase one, and then just to take target practice and go down especially to a place like Range 702.
Oh yeah.
Now, the one thing I will let everybody know, if you've never been in a range, an indoor range, it can be deafening.
Right.
Even with the headgear, it can be very loud. This time of year, it can be very cold
True.
because they're basically just, rushing air out of the place.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was wondering, first of all, like, hey, is it necessary to keep it this cool? And then your dad said, well, it is cool outside, so this is how it pretty much kind of works.
Yeah.
I will say this, the Belknap family, these folks know how to shoot. And they also know how to kibitz and argue, because there was clearly a debate going on between
Who shot
Jeff
the
and his
best?
sister.
Yeah.
They laid out their targets, they videotaped it, and then it was posted. And, and in fact, one of the Vegas Lions, oh, God, who was it?
His name's not important. But
Okay. Well, anyway, he chimed in, and he said, I think the sister edged you, Jeff. And looking back on it, I think she did.
She probably
I think
did
she
because
did
she
edge
had
him.
more count shots where I obviously destroyed center mass,
Yeah. Yes.
but she had more like score points.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, like, when we first went in there, the first round that I shot, I had to wear the goggles, and then he let me wear my sunglasses, which were actually a prescription, after the first round.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say that was the reason why she beat me, but my sister's a great shooter. Her husband, works at a local gun shop in
That's
town.
right. Okay.
So, which if they start supporting us, then we'll
Mention their name. Yes, that's how it works, folks. I mean,
But I've grown up shooting, and he's a avid shooter, and she is obviously,
Yeah.
I think I fired my first weapon at about 8 years old, and I enjoy it, man. It's such a great place, and just such a great hobby in a sense to shoot.
yeah,
But Range 702 just kind of brings it to a new level, with
they certainly do.
with the evacuation system that they have, as far as the lead and everything that's evacuated out,
Yeah.
the climate, the cleanliness of it, the support staff, everything that comes along with it. They sell guns. Everything's on the books. Everything is up on the up and up. It's a great place.
Well, you've spoken to Brian about some of the guests that they've had there,
Yeah.
especially in their VIP lounge,
Absolutely.
which we were fortunate to be in, and it is a real VIP lounge. I mean, there's a bar there. There's the refreshments available.
Yep.
You could certainly bring in food, and there's a private range off the VIP lounge, sort of a 4-position range there. So it is, and again, the place overall is absolutely beautiful facility.
Oh, no doubt.
And again, hats off to James, the technician. I mean, he was very thorough, very patient.
Yep.
And I felt very comfortable after his instructions. He was very concise, very precise, and made corrections where he wanted me to make, which helped me, in terms of adjusting, because he said, "Oh, hang on, it seems like you're dropping."
Right.
And I was saying, well, I'm just trying to hold my ground with this thing. But and then of course, when you move up to the automatic weapons, it once again goes to another level.
Yeah.
You have to adjust your stance, otherwise this thing is going to take you back. But you let it go. You don't really gird yourself, But I will say this: if you're interested in going and experiencing it, by all means, Range 702 is the destination.
Without a doubt. And not only that, but the party I shouldn't say party atmosphere, but the fact that they can bring large parties.
Yeah.
They can have they have the availability to do group events. They have so if you wanted to bring several people, if you wanted to have a private event where they kind of cater to you in a sense, like one-on-one, it's just the place to go.
Yeah. Now we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we'll again be discussing my experience at Range 702, which was indeed positive. And we'll also our final take on the Super Bowl, and then we'll be discussing some of the upcoming guests in the next couple of weeks. You're listening again to Southern Nevada Sports News on VegasAllNetRadio.com. Welcome to the Pride. we are back for the fourth round, the knockout round of Southern Nevada Sports News on VegasAllNetRadio.com. My name is Bill Miller, along with
Jeff Belknap.
All right, and if you're just joining us, last segment we were talking about my experience at Range 7, well, our experience at Range 702. And again, if you've never fired a gun, if you're a gun aficionado and you'd like a really great place to go and for target shooting, we cannot recommend highly any more than Range 702.
Absolutely.
Great staff down there. And as I mentioned during the last segment, I would like to take a gun safety course, really know how to handle a weapon, take care of a weapon, clean a weapon, store a weapon. Even though I live by myself, there's the possibility of my granddaughters coming over. I'd like to make sure that everything is safe.
All right.
And but I and I was talking to Jeff during the break. There was one gun, if I was ever going to own one, that I had to own, and as a James Bond fan, it was a Walther PPK.
That's always good. Right?
Yeah, and it just seems like, I don't know, it's an elegant gun.
Yep.
Not that I intend to be out on missions of any kind.
Well, picking up chicks with drinking martinis or anything.
That's it. Yeah, really. Vodka martini, stirred but not shaken but not stirred.
Shaken, right?
Yeah, James Bond. Yeah, but again, hats off to the staff down there. Brian Delachelle, the general manager. You can call and actually make reservations for their VIP lounge.
Yep.
Groups. I do know that they handle local hotel groups that want to come over and shoot. One thing I'd like to do at some point is move to an outdoor environment just for the sound. Thank you, Lawrence. Bill Miller. I guess I got to come up with a drink of choice. Mine is actually the Manhattan, classic Manhattan. Oak Ivy Bar, I recommend it on
Oak and Ivy, yeah.
Yeah, the Oak and Ivy.
Down in the
Fremont Street.
Was it the Container Park, right?
Yeah, brand new nice Container Park, yeah. And I actually work with,
even though they're not our sponsors, we want to mention that.
Well, my day job, believe it or not, Air Ocean Pros.
Yep.
Yours truly is VP. We work with Bill Hinchcliffe, who's one of the principals of IPME.
Right.
The company that actually
does the containers.
Yeah, built and designed the container park, and and he was, he said, I've been down. He's really excited about it, obviously, but there's a lot of projects that this company is working on, and we actually work with them in buying ship-our-own containers for movement.
Oh, that's cool.
The companies ship abroad, and then they want to just ultimately drop the container and use it as storage. So, Bill, well done, great job.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Let's see. We also wanted to touch bases on once again, Jeff and I were guests of the UNLV men's hockey team this past Saturday, and we actually had your niece and nephew to join us as well.
Yep, on senior night.
Senior night. In fact, if you didn't get a chance to go, there was actually the senior night, but there was also an alumni game at 6 p.m. at the Las Vegas Sci Center,
which was very fun.
Which was very entertaining.
Yep.
And in fact, the new head coach, Anthony Grenier, of the current head coach of the men's hockey team, played in that game.
Yep. Because
he's only really, I think, 5 years removed.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, one of our guests, the junior by the name of Axel Anderton, who's a senior center for the team, he played with when he was a freshman.
Right.
And Grenier was a senior on that team.
Yep.
So they were hosting. There was the second leg of their 2-game host, San Diego State University. Friday night, very big difference between Friday night and Saturday night. Whatever the coach, San Diego State's coach, talked to his team about after Friday night's dismantling, where they were UNLV beat once 9-1.
9-1. Yep.
9-1. Things certainly changed.
Well, it got a little more chippy. Obviously, in that
Very
second.
chippy.
So there was a player that was removed from the game with game misconduct.
There were 2 players removed.
Well, one from UNLV,
One
and
from
then
UNLV,
one from San Diego State that started,
who deserved it,
which was clearly a cheap shot in a sense. He came
we
from
were
behind.
standing right there.
I mean, we literally had a great view of it. He came from behind, just totally raised, got two hands on the back of the head.
Oh yeah.
and then of course the UNLV guy retaliated
Absolutely.
and was also removed. So
More than one.
yeah, so what he did get jumped by about 4 guys, but one
Well,
guy got removed, which
yeah.
which is understandable. But hats off to the UNLV guys for protecting their player.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was no hesitation.
Oh, no.
You know,
It was
I mean, they
immediate.
saw one of their players. You know, the guys were. And by then, things had really, gotten chippy.
Oh no, there was, but in the first period alone, there was about 9 penalties.
Yeah, and a couple of fighting majors.
Yep.
The player was actually engaged with a San Diego State player. They were just talking. I mean, they weren't discussing the weather, but they were clearly talking to each other. And this guy just came up from behind and
Yeah,
just drilled the
blasted
guy,
him.
blasted him. But again, thank you very much to Zeke Hahn, the general manager of the UNLV men's hockey team, for one, the invitation, the complimentary tickets.
Yep. So 21-7 now,
Okay.
and are moving up in the standings.
Yep.
It's getting close to the end of the year, so we will keep everyone posted on on how everything's going to go down. And I know Utah's still the top dog, but we're coming up for you.
I tell you what, the not sure where the tournament. There's their Mountain West hockey tournament. I'm not sure where it was going to be played. More than likely, it's going to end up in Utah.
Probably.
Yeah, but just like Las Vegas ends up being the host for the basketball tournament. But if you check the UNLV men's schedule, it's exciting hockey. These young men really they're working their behinds off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over the course, obviously, we'd like to have them back on as guests.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, folks, thank you very much for joining us. And again, our guest, Jay Staggs, the new defensive coordinator at Adams State University. For those of you who joined us and enjoy talking about Southern Nevada sports news in general, join us next Monday. It'll be February 15th, and we're going to switch to BMX gear.
Nice.
As guests Hunter
And Huntress.
and Hunter might join us for that.
All
We'll
right.
explain to you on Monday. Take care. Join us next Monday. God bless.
God bless.